Hey, you want to see some purple? Good, I thought you did, because we have the NATASHA Denona Roxa palette here with us today, along with a little sideshow from the new NATASHA Denona Hygiene Tinted Lip Mask. We're going to look at both of those today. Here with me, Rebecca. I am a fashion and beauty editor who has worked in the trenches for over 20 years with some of the biggest names in the industry, and I have brought Not Fit for Print Beauty right here so you could have a sort of live beauty magazine to look at every day or so here on YouTube. All right, well, NATASHA Denona is revolutionizing purple. What did Charlotte Tilbury say this holiday season? She said she was deconstructing the disco ball. That was very strange and made no sense. But what NATASHA Denona is doing actually makes a really good deal of sense. And that is she is taking the difficult pigment of purple and making it easier to use. That's right, purple is, and blue actually, which is kind of purpley based, are one of the hardest dry kind of powder shadows to work with at all. And in fact, I'm going to admit to you, and you'll be surprised to know that I didn't like purple for the longest time. Pink Sparkle, who is one of my longest standing community members here, used to always tell me, Rebecca, you have green eyes, you got to wear purple. But I had tried the Lila palette from NATASHA Denona and hated it because purple is a tough sell, really hard to make it work well. Then I tried the Viseart Violette. That's first real purple Viseart palette, and Viseart does purple so well. We'll compare some of these and get these out in a moment, but that it changed my mind on purple. And NATASHA Denona is out to change our minds yet again. She has come up with a new formula here that is called the Silky Matte Formula. So she has made these purple leaning mattes in the silky kind of new finish to make them easier to apply and easier to wear and to use. So I'm really excited to see it. Here is the Roxa palette. It is $69. And we have, as you can see, and we're going to look at this in two different lights, we have 15 shades of violet, lavender, fuchsia. We have two foils, two duochromes. One of those duochromes we need to talk about in a minute here. We have a metallic, a wet effect, a topper, and 8 of these new silky mattes that are fallout free. They're buildable. They're really beautiful. She wants to change the way we see and wear purple because, like I said, it's one of the most difficult shades to manufacture. Now, I did talk about the 2 duochromes. One of them is this right here. It's kind of a graphic shade. They call it the shade Bolt. And it's got 2 different colors, and when you mix them together, it makes a sort of basically a duochrome. And again, this is supposed to be fallout free and long wearing, buildable, and a new way to look at purple for $69. 15 shades, which is really cool. We need to do some comparisons. We're going to do some try-ons. I'm really excited about this. I do want to talk a little bit about another new product a week or 2 old from NATASHA Denona. She also, in her Hygiene group of products, she has released what she's calling the Hygiene Tinted Lip Mask that comes in 3 shades, really pretty, $25. I'm wearing it now. We can put on a little bit more. I bought the Berry Bliss. I just bought one. I wanted to try it out, and I thought it was a great way to use this. Now, I have a code at NATASHA Denona. Let's take a moment and talk about codes, shall we? My code at NATASHA Denona is my first and last name together, and I'll put it down below as well. It is RebeccaCringean, spelled on screen, and it's also down below. Now, when you use, go ahead and use my link to the NATASHA Denona site, and if it is your first time using my code, you will save 15% on your order. Now, before you correct me, it is true that the first few days that this palette was available on pre-order, the codes were not working, but apparently they are up and working again. So if you haven't used my code RebeccaCringean before, go right ahead and do so. And if it's your first time using it, you will save 15% off of your entire order, which is kind of nice. You know, $69, and you might want to pick up one of these 2, and you'll save 15%. That will be down below, along with all the other products we're using. And where I can, I will put everything up here on YouTube Shopping as well. Plus, look below for information on our free Facebook page, which is really cool. Plus, our $4.99 a month membership here on YouTube. I lead weekly lives. It's a lot of fun. Information on where to find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, and how to give super thanks, always appreciated, especially with all this holiday makeup spending, and all of that good stuff is down below. All right, well, let's get into it. Let me start with taking you outside into the warm California sunshine just to see this palette, the way it is laid out in the pans, all 15 shades. Take a look at that here. I said warm California sunshine, but I lie a little bit. It is starting to cool off. It was the late afternoon, but I kind of liked the way the light made the shadows look. So take some time looking at those violet lavenders and fuchsias there and all of those different formulations, which are so beautiful. And then we're going to come inside right here with me, come back. Let's all sit on the rug together and do some live swatches and some swatch comparisons, okay? So I want to show you what we got here. First of all, we have these beautiful new matte shades that are really silky and really blendable. I just put a little bit on my finger from this shade right here, and let's just see how that goes onto the arm. I wore short sleeves. Really pretty. Not too pigmented, a little bit less pigmented even than those Makeup by Mario swatches that I did for yesterday's video. But you can see it's buildable, and even here where it was a little more sheer, it still has a nice little presence. This is a really workable matte. I just want to try one of the mattes. And then we have this shade here, this very first one, which is a really pretty kind of duochrome shade. Let me mix, take my middle finger here and mix together the two shades in this Bolt shade right here, and that makes its own duochrome. That is beautiful. Now you could, with this Bolt shade, you could be real selective and take your brush and stick it in between where the purple is and you'll get a different color, but I think ideally it should and could be mixed. Let's take a look at this kind of metallic shade down below here. I don't know if that's actually a metallic, but yeah, it's pretty metallic. And that one is really pigmented. What I like about the mattes, let me look at another matte here, cleaning my hands off. What I like about the mattes, I'm going to look at this one right here. What I like about the mattes is the fact that they're not too dark. Like that metallic shade is a lot more of a color payoff than these mattes. And I kind of like that the mattes are much more subtle and buildable. Now, I wanted to compare a little bit. I was looking at, Natasha Denona actually does a lot of purples. The Lila, which I have right here, some of you have, some of you don't, is her original palette that's considered a purple palette. And I have to be honest with you, this is when Natasha, the Lila palette, was when Natasha was a little more hit and miss, and I never liked it. I never did. If we took a purple, I didn't like how it applied. If we take a purple kind of metallic shade here and put it under this metallic, it's a lot, it actually skips a lot more thick, and then they're not as nice, the shades, to use. But it's not that Lila is the only purple she's ever done. I mean, look at this. We had the Love palette, which certainly has its actual purple and purple leaning shades. Now, any of these, you guys know, let me take two purples from the Love palette. Here they are right here and right here, and I'll just stick those right there. There's two purples from the Love palette. This one is awfully similar here to one that we see in our new palette. Of course, we have the Retro, which has a lot of purple in it. And we have the Mini Crush, which has some purple. If you have any requests that you need to see Natasha next to Natasha over on Instagram, that's where I do all of the swatch requests and comparisons. So I'll move along quicker in this video, although there are timestamps if you don't want to see the comparisons. But if you need to see them really up close and personal, please put in your request and I will do those for you over on Instagram. I am happy to. I finally caught up. I was out of town, so I was backed up with my requests, but I finally caught up. So make sure that you go and try that out. Now, I wanted to bring this up. I showed you earlier that I had brought out my Violette from Viseart. Viseart are the purple masters to me. And I feel that if Natasha is going to redevelop purple, she really needs to take on Viseart. And here is a Viseart purple matte. That is the Viseart version of that. And it actually feels to me kind of similar. If you see, it's more saturated where I first put my finger. It spread out a little. That's interesting. I mean, I think in a way it might be interesting to even compare those two. I think the key with purple is a buildable, steady matte that doesn't skip. Purple is a tough one to make, but I'll tell you, Viseart does it right, and Natasha says that she's going to do it right now too. So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt with that, but I do encourage you to check it out. And if you need Violette or any of the other purples from Viseart, or any of the other purple leaning shadows from not only Natasha Denona, but any other brand, make sure that you ask me, because I am super happy to do any of those swatch comparisons over on Instagram. But let me tell you, before we get too carried away with comparisons, beware about comparing color to formula, because this Natasha Denona palette is all about formula. No, Rebecca, it's all about purple. Okay. But if you want to talk about formula, no better place to test it out than with purples, because purple and purple leaning blues are the hardest to work with. So let's see what she's done in terms of formula. More about formula here and less about you comparing these shades to, say, other Natasha purples that you might have. Pardon my purple fingers. I need grimace here, don't I? Okay, let's first try on. I have a little bit of this Hygiene Tinted Lip Mask on. This is in Berry Bliss, and I'll put a little bit more on here with you. I actually should have bought the other one in red. I was saying yesterday I'm trying to wear more reds, and she has like a real red version of this. I don't know why I bought the berry. It's pretty. It's really comfortable. It's not too much color. It doesn't skip or leave a gap. This is a real nice kind of, they're calling it a tinted lip mask, but I'll kind of refer to it as a lip oil, and I think it's very pretty. All right, I'm going to stand up now and wash myself off a little bit because I'm feeling a little filthy here, so just stay right there. All right, that's a little better. Let's do two different looks on two different eyes. Now, I am, as you guys know, or if you're new here, I am a fashion and beauty journalist. I'm a writer, not a makeup artist. So you're not here. I mean, sometimes you might see a look that you really fancy, and I think that's great. But for the most part, we're here to test out the formulas together. And I know we're going to test a lot of these mattes. Let's use some Sonia G brushes. And here is, we're going to start right there. And I'm just going to put this all over the eye. Yeah, oh wow, that is a pleasure to use. And I'll tell you why. So exactly as it was in the swatches, the swatch didn't lie this time. If you notice here on my eye, where I touched down with the brush first, and this is as it should be, has the most pigment, but it doesn't skip. It still produces a nice steady amount of pigment on the rest of the eye, which is very, very nice. And if I move up to this deeper shade right here, taking a little bit off of this Sonia G brush, I can put it into the corner quite nicely. Yeah. That's beautiful. And look at, I can even feather the edges a little bit, and it makes a very, very pretty presentation. All right, so let's try, I'm going to flip the brush over to this side here and just go in right here. I'm not really trying to do a cohesive look, guys. I just want to try out some of the different formulas. Oh, that's nice. So this is kind of a little bit of a metallic-y formula, and look at that. Not too overwhelming. People love shades that swatch really dark, but sometimes those can get away from you when you're actually applying them to your eye, and especially if you're not a skilled makeup artist. But look at how well that performed. And then I can kind of turn the brush over and get it all smoked out underneath the eye. Okay, let's switch brushes here. Go to a smaller brush for this eye and try this little shade right here. See what we can do with that on the inner corner and then even onto the eye itself. So it changes. See, when it's just there on the inner corner, it's one shade. And then when I bring it onto the eye and layer it over another shade, it transforms it a little bit. And that's beautiful. So again, just not trying to do a cohesive look, just trying to show you what the different shades can do, especially when used together. And I think that's very pretty. Could something like that be used as maybe a highlighter? Sure. Look at that. It's a little party-like, but isn't that pretty? Okay, let's go to the other eye and try something totally different. How about this matte right here? That's an interesting one. This is looks pale gray, but let me tell you, it leans very lavender. lilac, really, I would say. So let me go ahead, including in the inner corner, and just put this real pale lilac all over the lid. Isn't that pretty? How about this shade right here? Let's see what happens. Here's a pinky purple. I'm trying to do a very different look. I'll tell you this, for all the purples in here, you are not going to get the same look. I'm trying to jump around this palette, and this one is going to be a much more kind of ethereal looking. I shouldn't use the word ethereal. That sounds like Mario. Kind of heavenly looking. There we go. Subtle look. If you want, I can unsettle it. That's really pretty, by the way. But if you want, and let me see, what about when I use my finger? What if I go in here? Let's try this shade and use my finger and see if we can apply it a little bit deeper. Wow, that's pretty. Let's go in here, same brush, to this shade right here. It's kind of got a little bit of red in it, and see what happens if we put that into the crease. Again, I liked the look without it, so I might be messing up a good thing, but I'm just really trying to try out the formulas here. Pretty. Look at how that blended even over, it's really seamlessly, even over some of that shimmer. Isn't that pretty? Okay, I'm trying to see, we didn't try any of these golden kind of purpley shades. Wow. So let's do that. I'm really ruining, I really like that original, that little heavenly look I told you about, but I'm ruining it, not on purpose. I just want to see the way these perform. Beautiful. A true, really well-performing purple. So just let me say, if you've tried the Viseart purple and loved it, then you'll love this. But conversely, if you've tried other purples and not loved them and been disappointed because you wanted to find a nice purple to go with your eyes, and purple doesn't just complement green or hazel eyes. Purple brings out different shades in brown eyes and blue. So if you've been looking for a good purple and been disappointed, then I think you'll really like this. And like I said, if you've loved only certain purples, then you'll be pleased to find this. And it's all about those buttery mattes that she is calling her Silky matte formula that are just so easy and pleasant to use. So I know I layered these on in a strange way. I just wanted to see how they worked. And I still think I came out with two actually quite pretty shades. Don't forget that you can also use some of these to highlight. I didn't really use this one, this Bolt one, but let's try it. Yeah, that's kind of a blue leaning purple. So I'm really heavily glittered. I got look over look, but I just wanted to see. This is a very pretty palette. Never found a purple you like? Go for this. Found only one purple you like? You'll be happy to find this. I don't have a bad thing to say. I think NATASHA Denona, again, not about the color, about the color combined with the formula for this palette. Plus, this little Hygiene lip mask is a really nice little product. And there's a lot of those lip masks out there, but that's a nice one. Okay, $69 for this, $25 for this. Can't go wrong, people. You can't go wrong. Let me know what you think, because this is not just about me yapping. We are a community. Let me know what you think about wearing purple. Tell me what your favorite, or even, let's have some fun, because it's always fun to get that negativity out, your least favorite or favorite purple palette has been. And have you ordered this or tried this? Don't forget that you can try my code RebeccaCringean. If it's the first time you've used it, you will save at the NATASHA Denona website on your whole order, including now, supposedly, including now this new palette. So that's kind of exciting. Debbie gave me that information, so thank you so much to the lovely Debbie. Let me know down below all of your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe. It's the nicest thing you can do for me, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the next video. Bye-bye.